I just
stopped wearing
yeah.
it and it was never discussed?
That's right. I like at school and work, but I would hide it from him. So when I would go home and walk in the door, then I would have a shawl in my car that, I just have to button up my sweater, put on the shawl, and walk inside.
So you hid your questioning of your faith from him. When did he find out, I guess, that...
Right. He discovered it once when I was out jogging, and this would be about less than a year ago, perhaps about 6 to 8 months ago.
So recent.
Somewhat recently, yes. I was out jogging, and I was wearing just like capris and a t-shirt. And at that point, I think he had picked up on it. He had like seen pictures that my siblings had taken. So it wasn't a complete surprise. He sort of knew, but he had never seen it himself, I guess.
Okay.
And he saw me, and he never said anything about it, never said anything to me about it. It's just, from that point on, I just felt this great distance. And I sort of did avoid him and avoid going home for a bit. And
you feared that he would be upset with you,
of course,
I'm sure.
yeah. And I understand his disappointment. I know I never wanted to disappoint him.
Yeah.
I understand his disappointment in thinking that I was just like disrespecting him and everything he taught me, that I'm just like throwing it aside. I can understand where he's coming from as a parent, but I feel like he's not doing much to understand where I'm coming from as not a child anymore, as a young adult that is
young woman
figuring it out for myself.
Now, you said you had siblings. Did they go through this questioning phase of their religion? Did they have the same results?
They have in different ways. Everyone has in their own way. I feel that with my brothers, he's always been more lenient, more relaxed. My brothers were always allowed to, they were going out to parties and this and that, and he knew it. But it was not that it was okay, but, it didn't, they were doing it, he knew it, he didn't make a big deal out of it, and he didn't grow distant with them or become, awkward or anything like that. With my sisters, we've all taken very different routes at this point. One of my sisters has chosen to follow everything that she's been taught, and I guess she found her own belief in the faith that she was taught, which is great. My other sister, she's sort of in between, where she hides some things, but at the same time it's known. But
do they both still wear the scarf?
My oldest sister does, and my other sister, she does not, but she does in front of my father.
Okay, so I'm kind of seeing a pattern where, religion for your father is very important.
It is.
And, of course, in the Muslim religion, wearing the headscarf is an important component of it. And it seems like both your sisters wear the headscarf around him, and you don't.
I still do at this point around him. Like, I came to a point where I can accept that I have no problem wearing it around him. I just feel like he knows that I don't, and then I don't want to have to hide anything. I just want to be completely honest. And at this point, he knows. Yeah, at this point, he knows that I don't wear it at school and at work, and and all of these things. But regardless of all of that, I still want I don't want this distance to be there.
Okay. Do you know what I statements are? I statements and you statements. Have you ever heard that term?
No, I have not.
Okay, an I statement is when you have these relationships and you make these statements where the first word is I. And you can say, for an example, I have feelings of awkwardness with my father when we are in a room together. Or I feel like I need to be more honest with my dad in order to open up the lines of communication. And then there's these you statements, which are probably directed to your dad. You make me feel awkward, and you don't let me be independent. do you see kind of the difference between the two statements? One is kind of owning your part and owning your own feelings and knowing what it's like to be a part of this relationship. And you statements are putting the blame on other people or reflecting your feelings onto them. It's not necessarily their feelings. Your father may not feel these same feelings that you think that he feels. And until you bridge that gap and begin to have those conversations with him, you're not going to know what those you statements are for him. You know, you'll find out his I statements, but his you statements you don't fully understand. So what I am going to suggest is that you start owning your feelings towards your father, and you start owning your part of the relationship. And you kind of already have started doing that by saying, you know, I could do a little bit more of these things, or I feel this, or I am this. And I think by starting with these I statements, instead of placing the blame on him or the ownership on him, start to place the ownership within inside yourself, and from then you'll be able to realize your part in it. Because as you know, relationships take two people, and a conversation takes two people, just like you and I are having a conversation, and even us have a relationship. You know, we've worked in the past on things, and you know that seems to have been really helpful to you. So our relationship, there's two parts, and I'm sure that, you know, there are things that you can pick up on me, the things that I do, and there's things that I can pick up on about you. And the same can happen with your dad. He's a person, just like me, and, you know, I understand that with religion and dads, sometimes it can be a little iffy, you know. Me and my dad have had some issues in the past as well. Like you said with the boys, my father actually told me if I were a boy, I would have been treated differently. So I can empathize with you there. I do understand those issues. So what I want you to do is I want you to sit down, like I had you do before with the procrastination. Sit down and write a journal and detail, you know, the things that you, like the relationship you wish you had with your father. So make up a hypothetical situation, and it's kind of like story playing, role playing within yourself, and just bring to him an issue and write down how you wish he would react, and the things that you wish he would say, and how supportive you wish he would be. And from then, what we're going to do is we're going to continue to work on this relationship. We're going to see what you can do to bridge that gap. We're not going to have you talk to him yet and all that, but we're going to have you try and bridge this gap with him. Okay, so we're going to build up to you and your dad having the relationship that you want. So first off, let's journal and get your feelings, okay, about this relationship and how you wish the relationship would act. And then when you come back in next time, then we'll discuss that, okay? How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Think you can be on board?
I think so. I like that we're starting slow here and not jumping in too quickly. So
yeah, I think that would be really good here for both you and your father.
Yes, it sounds good. I'm excited to start.
Good, glad. You can stop now.